So, good evening, everybody. For those of you who do know, we've had obviously a few issues over the last couple of weeks on the Zoom trainings, and I immensely apologise again for that. So, tonight I've changed it up a little bit and we're just going to chat. It's going to be no presentations, no screen sharing until the end of this week and next week. And we're just going to go through some tips, some things that you guys may have picked up, things that I've picked up along the way that will just help not only grow your client base, but also retain your client base. Because there's one thing gaining 10, 15, 20 customers, but you then also need to have a decent retention rate. You know, I think we've said this before on a training or two. Unfortunately, and it is unfortunately because it's sad, but in any experience when it comes to retail or customer service, shall we say, it's proven that if you receive bad customer service, on average, you tell 10 people. Those 10 people will then, on average, tell 10 people as well, etc., etc. On the flip side, a good experience, on average, you only tend to tell 4 people. So you kind of have to work harder for the good, if that makes sense, which, like I say, is quite sad, really. But I'm sure if you actually think about yourselves in, different circumstances, you get your emotions of being frustrated or angry or a bit annoyed. The first thing you do is you want to rant to somebody and you want to tell them about the issue that you've just had. And then you'll do that again, maybe even 2 or 3 days down the line with someone else. Oh God, did I tell you what happened to me? Whereas you wouldn't pick up the phone necessarily and say to somebody, wow, you should see or you should hear about the service that I've just received. It's those more explosive emotions that you kind of feel like you need to get out rather than the good ones. So you can understand why on average you tell 10 in comparison to 4 about a good one. So yes, you can have all the clients in the world, but it is a completely separate thing actually keeping hold of them. So like I say, there is things that I've picked up on, along the years. I've done many trainings on it, watched so many videos, but the truth of the matter is it's really, really quite simple, and they all very much sort of fall into each other. They very much go hand in hand. So the first thing that I'd like to start with, which I'm sure nobody will be surprised at or bat an eyelid at, is literally customer service and support. Nobody whatsoever should, can't say won't, but should expect you to have every single answer to every single question. But how you deal with finding their answers for them and the timely manner and things like that straight away falls into the customer service. If you tell somebody, give me an hour, and then that takes 2 days, that's okay. If you've rang them after an hour and explained to them, do you know what? I'm really, really sorry. This is taking me a little bit longer than I thought it would. Do you mind if I carry on with this tomorrow, this afternoon, whatever it may be? Just again, it's expectations, but it is also customer service as well. Just don't leave it. It's the worst thing that you can do. It might take me an hour and then 2 days later getting in touch with the customer. You're never, ever going to retain anybody whatsoever. So customer service is a really, really big thing. And that is from start to finish. Obviously, you get your email, you do your phone calls, whatever it might be with a customer. You can top to bottom ask them every single question that you could possibly need to know about where they want to go, what they want to do, etc., etc. And you can book it for them. But then what? If you leave that customer, again, the customer service, you could have offered the best customer service for those first 2, 3, 4, 5 days, however long it might take to actually get them booked. But if you then let it slip after that, once again, everything else has just been completely pointless. So, and it's really, really simple things. So, for example, you could pop it in your calendar when a online check-in opens, and you could drop that customer either an email or give them a phone call the day before, the day of, whatever it might be, and tell them their online check-in's now open. It sounds so simple, but the amount of people that do forget is, and I forget. It's only when I get an email to say you can now check in that I think, oh God, yeah, I'm 28 days before or whatever it might be. Do that on their behalf. Also, they might struggle with online check-in. And as we know, a lot of airlines now require you to do online check-in, or it could be British Airways, for example. You will get a free seat selection once you do your online check-in. So, customers might want to choose seats, or they might, just these little extra things. They really can make a difference. So, yeah, something as simple as letting them know that their online check-in is open. Are you okay doing your online check-in? Would you like me to do it for you? Depending on how regimented and how much effort you want to put in, another really good thing is a checklist, an essentials checklist. This is something that you could have on a Word document and saved at all times and send off to your customer. And again, that could be, obviously, depending what was in it, that could be as soon as they booked. It could be 4 weeks prior to departure. It could even be 2 weeks prior to departure. But silly things again, passport. You don't have to put on there how long they have to have left on their passport, but you could put on there, please ensure your passport has the correct validity for where you're traveling to, just with a link to the government website on the end of it. You're not physically having to do anything for them. They can go and click on that link. Passports, currency, which will bring me on nicely to my next one, actually, but currency. And you could pop a guide on there of currencies in the country, or literally just put a box next to it. Have you bought your currency? Silly things, airport transfers, just all the kind of things that they might need. And then where you can be quite clever with that is you could also put on there, do you need car parking? And then literally, please get in touch with me as I can book this for you. Airport hotels, exactly the same thing. Airport lounges, could have a section on this Word document. If we say, for argument's sake, that's what we've got, where you've got your essentials checklist, but then underneath you could, put a few cheeky things on there. Why not upgrade your holiday? Start off with an airport lounge, VIP lounge, as I suppose the posh way of putting it is, get people excited, get them in the mood. So it doesn't all have to be, regimented passports and currency, etc., etc. But doing that, emailing that across to somebody, as I say, whenever you choose, 4 weeks, 2 weeks prior, it's just an added customer service, just an added extra, but it takes the customer service levels just up a notch again. You could even go out of your way and do welcome home calls and emails. Now, I also appreciate that not everybody is the same kind of person. Once upon a time, in an old employment of mine, we were made to do a welcome home call. And I suppose it was in a shop setting, so it was a little bit different. Sometimes you just wouldn't have the time to do it. Sometimes you would know that customer and you would think, just don't need to do one, or it's just not necessary, which is great for you guys. We weren't given an option. So even if it was somebody who you sent on holiday 6 times a year, I knew that conversation was going to be awkward because I didn't need to do it with them. I know that they would have called in or whatever it might be, but we were made to do it. The beauty with you guys is you're your own business. You can pick and choose. But, if you've got that first time customer, or there may have been, if you build the right rapport, you might know if somebody's a little bit nervous or they're anxious about going away. Or, my other half, he's, for some reason, petrified of flying the older he's got. Has jumped out of helicopters when he was in the army, and been in these big tanks in the back of these military planes. But as he's got older, absolutely petrified himself of flying. That would come across if one of you guys were booking his holiday. So, bit of extra customer service. Ring them up, ask them about it. When they've got home, why not? It's a spin on a welcome home call. How was it? Now, don't get me wrong, these obviously can come with negatives, but the truth of the matter is any business whatsoever can come with negatives. So you could make a phone call to a customer, a welcome home call. Obviously, you always keep it light, you keep it bubbly. And unfortunately, you might have 1 in 15 people that come back to you and say, actually, didn't have a very good time. But what you do in that scenario is you listen, you understand, you show the empathy. If it's genuinely something that you think has got a leg to stand on, it could then be, I tell you what, this doesn't sound great. This also isn't great for my business and is not the standards that I expect to be selling to somebody. Let me please go away and find out how we make a complaint about the issues you've raised with me. Go off, find, what the complaint procedure might be for the company that it was booked with, and go back to them. It may not be a great welcome home call because you've ended up with a complaint, but actually, again, from a customer service perspective, you've gone from there to there. And why wouldn't that customer return to you? They've not had a great experience. It's not your fault. And actually what you've done is gone, no, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me. This isn't what I expect. This is certainly not the standards that I am willing to sell. Let's do something about it. Again, just things like that take the customer service up a level. For anybody that's just seen Fran's chat there, she genuinely did have a customer who turned up at a hotel just a couple of weeks ago and was told on arrival that from the hotel reception to her room, she would have to get on a horse for an hour. So anybody that can see that chat there. So yeah, do you know what? I'm obviously internally giggling about this, and I'm sure Fran is probably giggling at the other end of her computer, but that absolutely is a leg to stand on, or to trot on, with regards to the fact that this was never ever put forward to the customer. And again, this is nothing to do with Fran. Somebody at the end of the phone or the bed bank, depending on how far back this goes, to me, that absolutely should be in a big red, big red box there. Please note, this is unaccessible for people with walking difficulties. The only way to access your rooms is via horseback that is going to take 60 minutes, etc., etc. There, you've got a leg to stand on. You're probably not going to have a leg to stand on with, let's say, which again, this is a genuine complaint that I have had in the past from a very old customer of mine who could not get over the fact that in their 5-star hotel, their bedside lamp had a fray on it. And that is no lie. They genuinely were super unhappy that their bedside table had fray on it. Let's call a spade a spade. Is it worth anybody whatsoever getting in touch with that hotel, going through the complaints procedure and writing a paragraph around the fact that this specific room had a fray on the lamp? The answer is no. This is the other thing. We don't have to, the customer is always right, fine, but we also don't have to do anything that we know is completely pointless and isn't going to get them anywhere. All we have to do there is we have to listen, we have to empathize. 9 times out of 10, people who are complaining about that kind of thing, they don't want anything, they just want to tell somebody that made them unhappy. I'm really sorry that happened. I totally get what you mean. a 5-star hotel, maybe attention to detail with little things like that should be a bit better. That's 9 times out of 10 all it's going to be. But again, you've listened. So that's the negative side of doing that kind of thing. But as I say, from a customer service perspective, absolutely great. And then on to my next one. This will work for some people. It might not work for some people. Also, you might come up with your own ideas. But going back to when I've just said earlier about the currency side of things, it may be worth all of you guys trying to find a local store that sells currency, a local bureau or a high street chain. You may not get away with walking into a TUI store, for example, for obvious reasons. They sell holidays as well. But Euro change, round here we've got a couple of like jewelry kind of stores and stuff that have a separate bureau within them. Absolutely take a chance of walking in there and asking if you can build a relationship with them. Tell them exactly what you do, exactly who you are, and what would be the chances of my clients being offered internet currency rates if I specifically send them to you. Now, again, it may work, it may not, in the fact that you obviously booking people all over the place. If you wanted to step that up a notch again, you're taking your customer's address. Maybe if you've got 10 minutes, it might be worth whacking it into Google, finding the local Euro, giving them a really quick ring and saying, I'm a travel agent, I work from home, I've just booked somebody who lives 3 miles away from your store. If I pass them to you for their currency, is there anything you can do for them? And it could be as simple as internet rates rather than in-store rates, because they do differ. Just FYI for anybody who comes across that, they do differ. But being able to then call that customer back and say to them, listen, hope you don't mind, I had a quick look for you. I found out that you've got a bureau called Sharna's Money, I wish, 3 miles away. They have agreed to offer you a VIP rate if you wish to buy your currency from them. Simple as that. But you're also building a very, very good relationship with other businesses. And that falls again into other things. If you are going into these bridal stores and what have you, which I know we've spoken about on previous trainings. If you're in a bridal store, you're handing out a leaflet, a business card, whatever it might be. Get right in with the owner, the manager, because these people are also going to go to the likes of wedding fairs, which you may not know about. And then all of a sudden, oh, right, okay. I mean, you've built that relationship. You can then go to this wedding fair with somebody there that you know. You've spoken before. So these that are sorting out the wedding dresses, where are you getting married? Cyprus. We're thinking about going to Cyprus. Get yourself over there to that table. The bridal manager could, you build a relationship where they're walking in and they're actually, they could be saying to them, what are you doing for your hen do? What are you doing for your stag do? All this small talk, it happens everywhere, not just in hairdressers. Perfect timing. Brilliant. Let me give you one of these cards, one of these leaflets, whatever it might be. The agency owner, Lorna, she came into my store 2 weeks ago. She's absolutely lovely. She does this, she does that, she can do this, she can do that. You've instantly built a relationship with that person just by going in, talking to them. There's no harm in telling somebody that you're new in what you're doing. No harm at all. Because everybody, whether they're in a store or working at home, have all had to build from absolutely nothing. So these things can make a huge, huge difference to growing your client base, but also, again, keeping them. And then just on to my next one, which I have made notes. Yeah. literally straightforward asking for referrals. Again, I think we went through this, touched on it ever so slightly with the social media side of things, but asking people to share your social media pages, asking clients, would you refer me to your friends and family? And actually asking them to do that. Perfect. I don't know if I did tell you when I first started speaking, but this is quite a new business for me. So I am trying to grow my client base. I'm so glad that you're happy with my service. If you can think of anybody that you could pass my details on to, please do. You could then take that up a notch and you could build your own loyalty program. If 5 people tell you that they've been referred to you from Aaron, then on their next break, just to let you know, Lorna, you have now referred 5 different people to me. So when you book your next break, I'm going to give you a free airport lounge or something along those lines. Again, retention, new customers. Oh, he got a free airport lounge because he referred 5 people to me. Right, I'm going to do that as well. All of these things are very, very simple, but very, very effective. Again, I'm sure airport dependent, but you can get airport lounges some places in the country for about £20. So, it's certainly not going to wipe your commission out or anything like that. But it's a really good way of a little something extra, something that they're not going to get from down the road, but also you're doing what you need to be done in the fact that you're asking for those referrals. And I just wanted to touch on that slightly. It's not necessarily a huge thing. Again, this is all down to you, but these things really can work. I've written down feedback, and again, I'm only really going to touch on this because it depends how nitty gritty you guys want to get, and really how much info and how much oomph, shall we say, you want to send to your client. And also, let's just put cards on the table. If you've got the balls to do it, you absolutely could send them a feedback form upon their arrival. In fact, arrival home, but it wouldn't even have to be when they got home. It could well be after they booked. And you could gather information from there. If you start seeing a trend, you could then maybe look at things and what you might need to change. Or, if you get 5 bookings and you send out 5 feedback forms, if we just call them for now. I know that sounds quite official. It obviously wouldn't have to be. It's entirely down to you. But if you sent out 5 and 4 of those people returned the form saying, I do wish that it hadn't have taken as long for them to get back to me, then that there might be something in that. There might be some substance towards that. And you can think back and you could maybe, right, how can I get around this? How can I change this? Just things like that. But like I say, you do have to be quite brazen and willing and open to accept any responsibility, any, maybe slightly more negative feedback. And we're hoping that that's not the case at all. Some people you just can't make happen. But, if you've got the oomph to do it and you can take whatever comes back, it's a great way of knowing what you might need to tweak or knowing what you're doing really well. Tara, I ask clients to give me reviews straight away as soon as they have booked, but not asked for, that's on my screen, but not asked for feedback as such. Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, when it comes to, your social medias and things, always make sure you're asking for reviews. And again, I think we've spoken about this very briefly in another training, but you actually saying to a customer, may I ask, if I were to get you to score me out of 10, could I ask, would you have given me a 9 or a 10 today? Now, again, I'm going quite old school in an employment that I used to work with, but every single customer would get a form. And if the agent didn't score a 9 or a 10, then there'd be a little bit of a comeback, which again, you guys don't have. But it's really good for self-reflection as well. So like I say, if you're willing to give it a try, I actually think you might get more out of it than you would possibly think that you would. And then the other thing that I wrote down, I've already actually slightly gone into, which was about loyalty programs. It doesn't even necessarily have to be something like an airport lounge. It could be, you know, what I'm going to do today. If you book this, I'm going to give you a half price extra leg room seat. That could cost you £15, you know, but you know that customer likes to have extra leg room seats. I've got one myself. He won't travel without one. You know, right, well, that should be £30. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Get this booked for you today. This is the third, fourth, fifth, whatever it might be, booking you've made with me. I'm going to give you that half price. You know, extras that you can add on in cruises, probably Prosecco or something like that. I'm going to do that for you. And you know what? If you've got your wits about you and you start trying to get in touch with somebody, you may even be able to actually get that for free anyway. Tara, I have a nail salon, my business cards, and some books. I will give you 200. There you go. £200 holiday voucher off your next holiday. And again, all you need to do there is put your T's and C's in that it would need to be, you know, there's a minimum spend or whatever it might be. Things like that. You gaining new customers, but also you're keeping those customers that you've already got as well. I hope you've got something out of this tonight. As I say, it's a bit different because I just wanted to keep it simple because of the problems that we've had. But hopefully we can all start building client bases and also keeping them as well. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.